Hey, folks, we will get started in about 3 minutes. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to DocuSign e-signature for Salesforce best practice tips and tricks. My name is Lauren Dunn. I am a senior Salesforce advocate here at DocuSign for our developer advocacy program, and I will be your host, MC, cruise director, and whatever else you need me to be today. I am here also. Ugh, Caffeine has not hit me yet. I am also here with our Salesforce expert, Greg Hardigan, who is a senior tech writer for DocuSign. Greg, we are so excited to have you here today to walk us through some cool tips and tricks.
Cool, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
No worries. So with that, we also are joined by Melissa, who usually stays quiet on these webinars, but she is our right-hand girl. She keeps us honest, she time checks us, she makes sure everything is working in the background for us. So I'm going to hand over to you, Melissa, for the housekeeping, if that's okay.
Of course. Thank you so much, Lauren. Okay, as mentioned in chat, you are placed in listen-only mode. If you have questions, please use the Q&A button to ask questions as they occur to you, and we'll answer via the Q&A box or let you know we'll answer them live during the open Q&A session after the demo. Right-click is your friend in this case. To save your questions, simply right-click on them and save to your desktop or a document. And lastly, you should see a quick poll on your screen in just a moment. If you can answer those questions, that will help us understand where you are in your development journey and enable us to customize content for this and future webinars. With that, I will turn it back over to Greg.
Hello. So I'm just going to quickly go through the agenda here. We're going to talk about DocuSign for Salesforce Apps Launcher package. the manage your security settings inside of Salesforce using the System Center and built-in e-signature settings, add DocuSign components to Salesforce layouts using the DocuSign troubleshooting page. And we're gonna talk about envelope templates and go through a demo of building an envelope template. So that is all to come. Once again, our team here is Lauren Dunn, Salesforce Developer Advocate. I think Salesforce Lifer, you might be able to call her. I'm Senior Technical
I
Writer.
prefer the term the Salesforce geek.
Salesforce what?
Salesforce geek.
Salesforce Geek. That works. Salesforce Geek. Put it on your card, your business card. And then we're very excited to have Kathy Customer, a new DocuSign customer. She's joining us to, ask us some questions as we go along.
Hi, folks.
Thanks, Kathy. So good to have you, and thanks for your excitement. Oh, and also, we are introducing Docky. Docky is the new Salesforce voice assistant. So we're trying him out. He's in beta right now. So we hope that you like what he does, and we'll see how he works. Let's try. Hi, I'm Docky, the DocuSign digital voice assistant. You can ask me any question about DocuSign products and services. I'll do my best to answer. What can I help you with today, Kathy Customer?
Hi, Docky. How do I get the apps launcher?
It sounds like you're trying to buy a rocket launcher. Sure, I'll start a search.
No. The DocuSign app launcher for Salesforce.
Sorry, there is no app by that name on the App Exchange.
Oh.
Yeah, this is true. Docky is right about that one, not the rocket launcher. Little glitch there, but we'll steer through it. DocuSign Apps Launcher is actually a package and not an app. It's a package of apps. It includes CLM, Gen, Negotiate, and e-signature for Salesforce. So when you go to the App Exchange, if you type in DocuSign Apps Launcher, it will show you all those apps. And say you wanted to install e-signature for Salesforce in your org, you would click that. And then if you look down the page, then you see the name DocuSign Apps Launcher, and it says package name, and it shows you the version. That was a bad slip of the tongue. And when you install that, it installs all 4 of the apps. So it's like kind of like Microsoft Office, where you install Word, and it also installs Excel and PowerPoint and stuff like that. We're also going to talk about managing your security settings inside of Salesforce to help make things easier for you, for your admins. We're going to talk about relaxing IP restrictions and using the all users may self-authorize feature.
Docky, does relaxing my IP let those nasty hackers into my Salesforce?
No, it automatically allows all DocuSign IP addresses, so administrators don't have to add ranges manually. Yep, that is right, Docky, you nailed it. Yeah, what it does is, and here's how you get there. You go to Salesforce setup, and then in the quick find field, you enter connected apps OAuth usage, or just OAuth usage. You don't want to write all that out. And then it's going to open this page that has a DocuSign item on it. When you click the Manage App Policies link, it then opens up this Edit Policies page. And when you click that, here we see a field on the right called IP relaxation, which is nice, right? So you picture your IP addresses on a tropical island somewhere in a hammock, resting safely in your Salesforce org. And what this does here is it's a drop-down menu. And when you select Relax IP Restrictions, it's kind of like a VIP line at a club, right? So all these other poor suckers are getting their IDs checked by the bouncer, but there's like a velvet rope line to the left for DocuSign, IP addresses, and anyone can just from DocuSign can walk right through it and get into the club without having to be checked or added to a list. So that's kind of how that works. We recommend you use that, and this keeps administrators from having to manually enter all these IP ranges to allow list them. It just makes your job easier as an admin. And then to the left, very conveniently, we have this permitted users dropdown. There's an admin item in here, and then there's one that says all users may self-authorize. We kind of recommend that you set it to all users may self-authorize, because this keeps admins from having to go into profiles and permission sets and manually adding all these DocuSign users and stuff like that. This just goes to it makes the authorization process like a pop-up for the user instead of having to dig in as an admin. So what your users see when you do this, they go to view a DocuSign item in Salesforce, like they click a Gen Custom button, or they click one of the components that were added, and it's the first time they're using it. This message pops up. It says, before you can use DocuSign, you must grant consent. And when the user clicks authorize, it opens up credentials for, you have to enter credentials for DocuSign and then for Salesforce. And once you've done that, all the DocuSign apps and components become available to the user, and you don't have to do that again. So this is a one-time thing that the user has to do, but they can self-serve, right? So that's always good to self-serve.
Docky, does the authorized user thingamajig give DocuSign access to every Salesforce user?
No, only the users you add in DocuSign user management. Is that right, Greg? Yeah, I was starting to answer that, Docky, and you jumped in and nailed it. That is correct. Yeah, there's a DocuSign, on the DocuSign setup tab, there is a user management section. And this is where you can go in and add users by Salesforce username. You can add them by permission set. You can add them by role. And once you've added the users in the DocuSign admin panel and given them their rights, those users are the ones that can self-authorize. It doesn't open up every single user in your Salesforce org to use your DocuSign account. So I hope that makes sense. Hot diggity, as you humans say, I am on a roll. All right, Docky, you're feeling it. I'm glad. It's good to see you feeling your stuff there. Thank you for your help. You're doing quite well. We're ready to take you out of beta status. Oh, thanks. And we're going to talk about that licensing model I talked about a second ago. When you want users in Salesforce to be able to use DocuSign components and to send signatures and stuff like that, each user has to have a DocuSign license, a corresponding license. So if you have 10 Salesforce users that you want to be able to use DocuSign in Salesforce, you have to buy 10 DocuSign licenses to apply for these users. You can use a different model if you want to use a system sender, though. I'm not sure about the pricing for this and stuff like that. That would be something you have to talk to a rep about. But technically, this is setting up a user that sends on behalf of other non-DocuSign users. This only works with the DocuSign for e-signature for Salesforce Apex toolkit. And then non-DocuSign users need to be added to the DocuSign sender permission set for this to work. And what you do here, you go to the setup tab again, e-signature, settings, and then you're going to see something called enable system sender pretty high up on the page. And what you do here is you need to grab a DocuSign administrator user from the drop-down list to the right. So the user has to be created and activated and be an admin. But once you do that, this user can send on behalf of other users, essentially. So Salesforce users can then send envelopes without a DocuSign user license. This just helps you manage your user pool. If you don't want to just keep adding and changing permissions and stuff like that every time someone changes a role in your org, you can just do this, set up the system sender, not worry as much about the licensing issues, and let this system sender send on behalf of other users. When someone receives an envelope from a non-DocuSign user, though, it is going to show up as from the DocuSign admin at ds.com in this case. It won't show up as the non-DocuSign user because we don't know who they are. Disable built-in signature is another feature we like to talk about a little bit. It's a little confusing. There are two DocuSign for Salesforce apps currently. There's a legacy one, which has been around for years, and then there's the one in the Apps Launcher package, which is the new one. We know we have a lot of customers out there that are still using the legacy DocuSign for Salesforce app. So the use cases here are if you're transitioning from the legacy app and you're rebuilding your templates and custom buttons, but you're not ready to go yet, you can do this, disable built-in e-signature. Or if you have like technical limitations in your org for like, just IT stuff, server side stuff, and you can't switch yet, you can still keep using the legacy DFS app for, I think, the next 2 years before we make people phase out. And how we get to there is we go DocuSign setup, e-signature, settings, same page as the last. And then there's this enable built-in e-signature switch, and you can just click it. It's default set to enabled, but if you click it, it goes to disabled, and that's it. You have switched to the legacy DFS app. Your users can use Gen and negotiate still, but they can also, when they send for signature, they can use your legacy custom buttons and templates and stuff like that. So this enables you to use the new Apps Launcher package plus your old e-signature package while you're getting ready to change out. We're also going to talk about DocuSign components, adding the layouts. There are 3 main components in the Apps Launcher package. There's DocuSign files. This is typically for users they're using Gen and Negotiate, specifically Negotiate. DocuSign files let you store files in a Salesforce record and send them for external review and internal approval. The envelope status that shows you what's going on with envelopes you sent from your Salesforce records. And then CLM files shows on each record page, it shows all your CLM files if you're a CLM user. How to add the components to your layouts. What you do is you just open a record to start. In this case, we have an opportunity open. And then you click the gear on the right, the Salesforce gear, and go to edit page instead of setup. When you do that, it opens up this whole Lightning Components page, and you'll see the DocuSign components right down at the bottom of that left column. And then you just click and drag them to the canvas to add them to the layout. In this case, because we're talking about e-signature, I'm dropping the envelope status onto a page layout. And once you save that and activate it, then this is what your users see. They're going to come to that same record that you just opened and added to, this component to, and they're going to see this DocuSign envelope status component right there where you put it. And this just shows them, anything that they've sent from this record, like what's going on with it. It's the status, is it sent, is it signed, is it pending, all this other stuff. So that's cool. And it does it for, when you do it on the Burlington Textiles page, it also adds it to every opportunity page layout. So you don't have to just do it record by record. It conveniently does it for all of them. So all opportunities in this case.
Ducky, what if I have troubles?
Playing Tiny Bubbles by Don Ho, sure.
Oh, no, troubles. Like the kind of troubles that need shooting? Wink, wink.
I'm starting to think that Kathy is actually Lauren queuing up prepared questions for Greg.
No.
No, Docky, that is outrageous.
I
Kathy
don't even sound like Kathy.
A legitimate, real customer, and she's just really, she's really engaged. But whoops, let's see. But it is a nice segue though. It brings up the troubleshooting page, which I was going to talk about. So thank you, Kathy, for asking that pertinent question. Troubleshooting page is kind of an Easter egg inside the Apps Launcher package. Not a ton of people know about it, but it is a good thing to expose. This isn't specifically related to e-signature, but really to Apps Launcher management in general. And the troubleshooting page can fix the following issues. It can let you very easily disconnect your DocuSign account from your Salesforce org. You can clear your DocuSign user settings and disconnect. You can reset user folder permissions, and you can activate and update DocuSign products. So we'll take a look at that. To install the troubleshooting tool, it comes with a package when you install it, but you still have to manually go in and say yes to this and add it to your org. So you go into setup and connected apps OAuth usage, our favorite setup feature here. And then you'll see DocuSign again, and there's just a button that says install, and you would click install. That opens up, that really quickly installs it into your org. And then you have to go back to the quick find field and type in Visualforce pages. And then that brings up this troubleshooting tool. And when you click that link, then you see this page open up DFSLE troubleshooting, and you would click preview. When you click preview, boom, this thing opens up. This is the troubleshooting page. And here are all the things you can do. With the click of an execute button, instead of digging around with Salesforce fields, you can disconnect your account. a lot of times people will connect a DocuSign account to a Salesforce org and then connect it to a DocuSign account as well. And that can mix things up, or you can do a refresh of your Salesforce org. There's a bunch of different ways. You can switch the integration user out and connect to the wrong org and stuff like that. So instead of digging around and trying to figure out why your merge fields aren't working and stuff like that, strange things, you can just select execute for disconnect account. Or if it's really mixed up and you have users that you weren't expecting in there and stuff like that, you can disconnect the account and reset users. And this just wipes basically all the custom configurations and the connection. This is pretty handy. There's a lot of stuff that gets done when that gets executed. Clear the user settings. There's kind of a strange thing in Salesforce where the user tokens can build up, and then you get these storage limits exceeded messages for your whole Salesforce org. This just deletes all the cache access tokens, and then fixes that issue. You don't have to buy more storage from Salesforce. Folder permissions. If there are issues with people not being able to access the right stuff, or people, God forbid, being able to see stuff they shouldn't, you just execute folder permissions, and this is going to reset all the folder permissions to the correct level. Refresh products is new. This is something where if you have a pending DocuSign product that's pending activation, like Gen or Negotiate or something, or if you have like settings or features that haven't been updated to the latest and greatest settings yet, like you haven't updated the apps, you can click execute here, and that will activate your products and update the stuff inside of the apps launcher package. So pretty useful and not that well known. So
Greg, I like buttons.
Oh, who doesn't like buttons?
How can I get some of those DocuSign buttons on my Salesforce?
Ah, the DocuSign buttons, yes. Well, why didn't you ask me the question, Kathy?
You kind of seem a little busy.
You are trying not to say that I have failed you, but I have. I am a bad docky.
No,
Docky.
no.
No, you're doing great. I think, she just wanted to mix it. She might think that I had been feeling left out, and so she's trying to make me feel better. I think that's what's going on, Docky.
Sure, we'll go with that.
So we're going to talk about adding a standard Send with DocuSign button, and this is something that isn't a template, doesn't need a whole lot of configuration. And if you want to get your users rolling, you're a new customer, you can really quickly add DocuSign, Send with DocuSign buttons to Salesforce layouts. So you go in to the settings page, you select your Salesforce object, you select the layouts you want to add it to, and then you just add the custom button, and we'll show you how to do that. Once again, DocuSign Setup tab and e-signature, and then this button tab in the middle here, which we haven't visited so much or at all. There is a drop-down menu for Salesforce objects right there, and in this case, in this image, I've selected account. And then below that, there are all the account layouts. So you can check as many or as few as you want, and then all you do is you click the Update Layouts button, and that in like a couple seconds, it adds this to all the layouts, every record page from that layout. And this is what your users see when you do that. You suddenly, they open up a record, in that case, in an account, and they would see a Send with DocuSign button. When they click that, this just launches the standard e-signature for Salesforce like envelope process, where you add documents, the user adds recipients, and then the user goes to prepare and send. And that's what we call the DocuSign tagger page, where you add like Salesforce and DocuSign fields before sending.
Greg, I keep hearing about these darn envelope templates.
Oh, I know this one. Oh, pick me.
Okay, Docky.
Envelope templates automate the signing process, making it faster, easier, more efficient, and less vulnerable to human error. Did I do good this time?
Marvelous job, Docky. Just marvelous.
Oh, Docky, see, we love you. It's just, we're mixing it up a little. Don't take it personally. Yeah, that was great. You nailed it. That was a really good statement. Can we celebrate with my favorite human ritual, a product demonstration? Sure. Yeah,
I
you
am
want a
happy
demo?
you said demonstration and not something else.
Okay, made Kathy happy. So yeah, we can do a demo. What I'm going to do is just show you how to build an envelope template. And let's see, what are we looking at? Desktop 3, sure, we'll pick that one. And let's see. Okay. Lauren, are you able to see my my screen with the Apps Launcher package open?
Yes, I can indeed.
All right, cool. Good. So what we do here is you go to the DocuSign Setup tab, which we've referenced quite a bit, or you can go to the DocuSign Envelope Templates tab. Either way, you can get there. So in this case, I'm going to select the Setup tab because that's what we've been talking about quite a bit. And we're going to go with templates. There's this templates tab. And you can see this is like a dev org, so there's a lot of different templates already in here. But there's a button over here that says create template. And you click that, and it opens up this main screen. In this has to be enabled for your org. You have to be a Salesforce customer that allows Experience Cloud, which is also known as Community Cloud. So you can check this box if you want to in this step, if that's enabled for you. If you don't have that in your account, you will not see that field. So that doesn't show up, so no one can make a mistake. So yeah. Put a name for the template, and you select your data source. In this case, I'm going to go with opportunity, but you can see that there are many other actions you can take, other objects you can pick here. It just gives you the most commonly used ones up top, which is nice. So I'm picking opportunity, and yeah, it says you can't change this later. That is true. If you change the data source later, it just wipes your template. So this opens the create template flow. And because this is a demo, this page will just endlessly do this probably. The little blobby dots mushing around.
Does anyone else dance while this is happening, or is that just me?
I'm sitting down, but I'm dancing in my head.
I'm doing a little head box.
Let me try to reload this page and see if it works. There we go.
Yay!
The trick. Docky, you're not the only one who had some glitches. Hey, that was a cheap shot. No, you're cool. We're good. All right, so we start with a flow here. We have documents first. You don't have to upload a document. I'm going to do it here, but you don't have to. You can just pick the attached documents from Salesforce record. And then in that case, whatever Salesforce record page is being clicked, it would add documents by latest document, all documents from that record, or file name contains. So in this case, if you're looking for like NDA, you're looking for files that are saved to that Salesforce record that have the word NDA in the file name, you could do that. And then for here, in this case, if you wanted to do a Salesforce only one, you could delete this document featured there and just use the Salesforce one. So you can do one or the other. In this case, I'm just going to do this one. And just so you know, if you do this method and then there isn't an attachment on the record, then that's going to be it's going to kill the envelope. So that's just one thing to know. If there's Salesforce only with no docs on that record, then you can't do it. Then you go to the recipient step. You can either select next on this or just select the tab itself and add a recipient. This is like a really robust, as they say, like feature here. This has more features than some products alone. So you can add recipients with all these different permutations. So you can go to a record field and add like an owner. There's the delivery here. This is another feature. If you have SMS delivery enabled for your DocuSign account, then you'd have to talk to your DocuSign manager to have this enabled. It's not a setting that you can just grab yourself. It's a paid service, but if you have it enabled, you see in the new version of the app, you see this delivery field. And this is only for Apps Launcher 3.3, which just came out. And you can pick email or email plus SMS. And SMS is just a fancy way of saying it sends a text message and an email, and the user can sign from the text message link. So action is defaults to needs to sign. If you pick email plus SMS, the only recipient actions you can get are needs to sign, receives a copy, and needs to view. If you pick email, then you'd see a whole bunch of other options as well, or at least a couple more. So we'll just go back to SMS. Needs to sign, and then there's this role here. That's picked from the record field's dynamic field there. It's just going to grab the owner from this record. And then you can add access authentication. You can add an access code. This would be something that you'd have to tell the user in advance, like you email them, like, hey, this is going to be the access code for you to open the envelope. So this kind of helps you protect the envelope. If you turn this back to email, then you see this authentication goes, another option goes SMS and phone. And this doesn't send the user a link to sign. It just adds a two-factor authentication to the envelope. And then you can add a private message. This only goes to this particular user when they receive the envelope. Even if you have like 20 users, they'd be the only one to see this. So you can add and close the modal by clicking the add button here, or you can save the user and add another one by saying add and new. And so in this case, I'm just going to add a role. Role is this is good if you don't know who the recipient is going to be in the future, but you need to have a field that someone can enter a recipient in. So you could say like legal approver. If you know it's going to go to the legal department, you can add a name and email if you want to, or you don't have to. And we'll say, email needs to sign, and you can wipe the private message. Don't need that. And then that will close it. So I'm going to click add, and that gets rid of the modal. There's a signing order button here, and when you click that, it exposes who signs in what order. You can change the order by clicking and dragging. So click drag, and you'll see the order number change for the approver. And then here you'll see like there's access authentication on a private message. You can edit or delete the user here. You can also edit a user by just clicking the link to their name or their role. And then that opens up. This view button shows you the signing order diagram. It just shows you in brief what happens once this envelope is sent, what it's going to do. It's a pretty straight flow here. And then you can add a new recipient also by clicking here. Message to all recipients. You can change the message that's seen by the people who get this, the subject and the message. And when you're all set with that, you would then go to the next button or click merge fields. Merge fields is an optional area. You don't have to add merge fields here. This is something where you are creating a connection between your Salesforce merge fields so that they are available in this place field step, and you can drag them to a page when you're about to send an envelope, or create an envelope template like we are here. So we see these are already mapped. If you want to click add field, this lets you select the source object. It's set to opportunity because that's where we are, but you can change that. And then you can see this field opens up under there. Looks like I might pick like account name, and then this is just what the label is named when you're looking for it later. I'll just take ACC out of there. More options. This lets you add a tooltip where you can tell the user what to do. Validation, just make sure that people can't enter things in the wrong format. So if you need an @ symbol for an email, if you need the dashes for a social security number and stuff like that, it'll drop it in there for you. And then anchor text is like when you want to add a string of text from an object in Salesforce, you can add it there. Allow write back to Salesforce. That lets you, when the envelope is completed, this allows all the fields to update and the document to end up in the Salesforce record. Allow sender to edit. This lets the sender make changes to this field. Required field means person has to sign it, has to interact with it. And then read only is just for the signer. It means they can't change something. So you can select all of these. No big deal. You see account name show up in here. At that point, you would move to the place field step. And here we see a bunch of fields. So right away, because it's a standard field, these are DocuSign fields. I'm going to grab the signature tag and the date signed. And because we have 2 users, I'm going to go to the left here and I'm going to select owner as a second user. You see these icons change to blue, representing you know, a separate user. And you can place these wherever you want to, but I'm just putting them side by side. When you go down here, this merge fields icon, this is exposing the fields that you built in the last step in that fields page. And so for this case, I'm going to switch back to the legal approver. And I'm going to say this is going to be the account name. And then I'm going to say this is the opportunity amount. And then when I click save and close, it just moves on to the next step. So those are now placed on the document for the recipient, or any recipient who uses this template. Automatic reminders, how many times do you want to pester the person to sign it? I'm going to set it for 5. Envelope expiration just lets you decide when this thing was going to go bad and you have to resend it. 120 days is standard. Right here, this is pretty important, and it's small but important. This changes the sender experience. So default is the default, and that gives you that 3-step process we looked at earlier, where you add documents, you add recipients, and you place fields. That's for the sender. Quick send is an option you can use where you want a really simplified sending experience. You don't want the sender to be able to change a whole lot from this envelope template, and you want the sending experience to be easy, like a 1-page sending experience. That's why it's called quick send. So we'll do that and look at what it looks like in a minute. Update field value. This is a newer feature. This just lets you update fields in your Salesforce record once the signature process is complete. So in this case, we can say like fiscal year, and I want the fiscal year to be 2022. And you get 5 of these. You can pick 5 fields to update. And you can say amount, $1 million. And then you have 3 more of these if you want to add them. Way down on the page, you can save completed documents back to the Salesforce opportunity record. So when it's done, it goes back to the record. You can combine all the documents in one PDF file if there are multiples. And this lets you pick what the file name is going to be when it's saved to your Salesforce record. So it's kind of good to keep this detailed so that you can look at it and know pretty easily, where this came from and when and stuff like that. And then I recommend save certificate of completion back to the Salesforce record. This just gives you the knowledge that it's complete and nothing went wrong. When you're done with this, and all these are optional too. You don't have to change anything on this page, but you can. Also, I want to point out before we finish, there are little videos here that actually I made, and it walks you through this entire step and all the options that you can use on this step. So if you're having trouble later remembering what we talked about today, each one of these steps has one of these little videos in the upper corner, and it'll be me talking you through this again. So you'll get deja vu. Custom button. And we're almost done here with the demo, and then we can get some Q&A. This is the last step here. So button label, you don't have to name it the same thing as the template that you named in the beginning step, but it's, why would you change it? I mean, if you wanted to, you could. And then you can update the layouts you want to. This is the same as that standard button page that we looked at earlier. I'm just going to do these 3. And then up in the right, you see save and finish. And when you click save and finish, it is going to take all the stuff you lumped together in this entire process, build an envelope template, and add the custom button to the layouts that you selected. Cool. So because we did that on an opportunity, I'm going to open an opportunity. Our old friend, the Burlington Textiles, doing bang up business. Yeah, and this is the DocuSign files component that we talked about earlier. Anything that's added is to DocuSign shows up on this record. And then when you're going to make this is for a user, right? A sender. They would select demo template if they wanted to use this one that we just created. So all the documents, the recipients, the settings, the options, all those things are lumped in to this sending process when this user clicks that button. And because it's quick send, you don't see that flow up here where they can make lots of changes. Quick send is if you don't really want people to make a lot of changes. And then if you use default, the people can make a bunch more changes if they want to. So you see, even when you click the recipient, there's not a whole lot you can change here. You can't change the actions and stuff like that. You can add a private message, but you can change the message and you can change the options like reminders and expiration. But that is all you can do as a sender here. So it locks it down pretty hard. And then it gives you a really quick process to send. So you can send this thing. So rather than email someone who is about to get yet another email from our org, I'm just going to cancel that process. But that'd be the quick send. You click the button, it opens up. You basically don't have to change anything if you don't want to, and the envelope gets sent really quickly. And then you see in the envelope status all the stuff that's been sent, and you can see view all. And it'll show everything. So that is the demo. Here, I'm going to switch to the other screen. New share. Cool. Do you see Lauren? Do you see the demo screen now? The blue screen?
I do indeed.
All right, cool. All right, so yeah, that was envelope templates, documents, recipients, merge field, place field, options, and custom button. That's from the flow. Kathy, you still with us?
I am. What a wonderful presentation, Greg. And Ducky, you really did prove yourself at the end.
Sweet sassy Molassy, you can call me a horse because I am feeling my oats, as you humans say.
Okay, fellas. I really have a confession to make here.
Oh, okay.
It's me, Lauren. I was pretending to be Kathy customer this whole time.
What?
Are you surprised?
I'm shocked. You are very good at impersonations.
Oh, you're too kind to me. Thank you. I think I did rock that one.
It sounds like you're trying to buy a rocket launcher.
Oh.
Sure, I'll start a search.
No,
Docky! Docky!
Definitely.
Just kidding. How about a nice game of chess?
No, I'll
Sounds
pass.
lovely.
How about we go to some
Lovely.
Q&A though?
Yep, let's do some Q&A.
Awesome. We got a whole load of questions coming in. So thank you very much for the folks that have. Just so you know, I am giving away swag packs to people who are asking questions. I have 7 swag packs to give away. Unfortunately, you can't win 2. So if you ask 2 questions, you still only get the 1 swag pack. But if you have asked a question, I will reach out with a private message if I haven't already, with my email address to contact me to get your details for your swag pack. So with that, Greg, I'm going to quickly go through these. I'm going to go by person because there's some follow-ups and questions that go together. So these are in. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you want me to throw the share to you, or are you just going to ask him over what we got here?
I'm just going to ask over.
Cool.
Okay. So Jill has asked, is there a difference between DocuSign for Salesforce e-signature legacy and Apps Launcher version not legacy? And will this impact legacy setups?
For sure, there are differences. Yeah, there are some things that the legacy package is built more on code. So like, there's a lot of JavaScripting and stuff in the legacy package, and the new one is just the motto is clicks, not code. You know, so you can drag and drop things and create custom objects and buttons pretty easily. That said, there are some there's some things that the legacy app can do that the new one can't do, and we're still building the new one out to have complete feature parity. But there are also plenty of things that the new one can do that the legacy one can't. So we are going through a 3-stage like sort of big product push for the e-signature for Salesforce app, the new one. We just finished stage 2 of that, where you added an ability to add like custom objects from contacts or from users, and you added the SMS feature, and then a bunch of other stuff was changed in the back end to make it a little easier. And then stage 3 is coming up in a couple of months, and stage 3 is another big push where, you know, some of the legacy app stuff that it's you know not as technologically easy to accomplish in the legacy app will become available in a much easier to accomplish way in the new one. So sorry if this is pretty vague, but not a product designer, I have, you know, more of a view of kind of like what they say is the 10,000 foot view of this thing, where, you know, I know what's coming, but I can't tell you exactly what all the differences are. But the answer is yes, there are differences between the two. Each has things that the other cannot do, but we are going to erase that gap with the legacy app. We're doing that now, and it will just start exceeding what the legacy app can do in a big way awfully soon. And the legacy app is not being developed any further, so it's what you get.
And I've also put that support homepage on the legacy app details. I have put that in our chat box if you need that, Jill. Next question we have. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh yeah, really quick. There is a legacy apps download page that we built. So if you are using the legacy app and for some reason you can't upgrade, you know, for technical reasons or whatever, every time there's a new revision of the legacy app, like if we do a bug fix, we don't do new and enhanced stuff. But if there's a new version of it, the 2 most recent versions of the app are available for download on this page from the DocuSign Support Center. So you can't get it from the App Exchange, but we do let you upgrade from our own support home if you're a legacy customer.
Mm-hmm. Next question we have is from Cass, and I'll take it real quickly. Can you please clarify the DocuSign and Salesforce license requirements for System Sender? I.e., does it need to be a Salesforce? Oh, actually, I'll let you take this one. Does it need to be a Salesforce sysadmin and a DocuSign admin required?
Yeah, I believe it has to be a Salesforce admin as well. It needs to be a DocuSign administrator for sure. And I'm not exactly positive, but I'm pretty positive that it needs to also be a Salesforce admin. I could be possibly wrong, but
yeah, it's admin privileges. So one thing to point out to folks that are on this call, we say Salesforce admin. What we mean is people who have Salesforce admin privileges, because some companies don't give people full system admin, or for example, you may have a developer that's only allowed to install applications, not the Salesforce admins. So when we talk about admins, we talk about the folks who are able to install the products.
Yep.
Awesome.
Cool.
Jill had another question. Can there be multiple System Sender email addresses?
No, there can only be one.
Like me.
You can switch that user, but you can't use more than one in the org at a time. So like you can decide, you know, I want to use a different System Sender. You can easily switch that in that page, but you can't use 2. We recommend that when you're using a System Sender that you, like in your org, you create like you know, like an email that isn't tied to someone. So like you would create an email address for your org called DocuSign System Sender at yourorg.com or whatever. And that way, like if someone leaves or changes roles or their password needs to be reset, it doesn't break your e-signature process. Like it's, you know, it's a non-specific email address tied to no specific person.
Cool. Next question we have is System Sender in DFS admin. That can look like the second, like the send on behalf of feature. So that all of the users do not need DocuSign licenses. We manage our usage on envelope consumption. So there are instances where we have teams that send out forms but are specific to the team. Using a system sender would centralize that for the team. The only issue is we have multiple teams that would need this, and data cannot always be shared with the same sender account. Hope that makes sense.
To be honest, it doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry to say. That might be above my pay grade. The question that might be a level of complexity that is needed. Like you might want to open a support ticket or reach out to your rep and have them open the right channels in DocuSign. I don't want to wade in and mess this up and answer it the wrong way. It sounds like it doesn't sound insanely complicated, but it sounds a little complicated, and you might need some help there.
Yeah, no worries. Next one we have is from anonymous attendee. Anonymous attendee has asked, how do you avoid getting a Visualforce error page when initiating an envelope from a Salesforce community? Are there specific permission sets? Okay, anonymous attendee, for SF community, I actually have a whole load of videos that I can share with you on this particular subject. I have just messaged you my email address if you want to reach out to me.
Yeah, and what you're doing if you're a community/experience user, you wouldn't be sending an envelope, you would be self-signing. So it lets you go into the experience portal. It lets you sign a document. You can generate a document if you have Gen enabled for your account. You can upload a document and you can view a document. Those are the 4 things that an Experience Cloud user can do, and nothing else.
Cool. So Miles has asked, he actually asked 2 questions, and in your presentation, or in your demonstration, should I say, Greg, you answered part of the question. His second part is, can you also add a table in like a field where we will have multiple line items with different columns?
Yeah, sure. There's a lot of custom stuff you can do. You can also, tables are doable. You can also create a Gen template. We didn't go into Gen because that's a whole other app that has a ton of configurable stuff. What you can do though is you can create a Gen template and you can build out all kinds of XML loveliness in Microsoft Word, and then you can link your Gen template to an envelope template. But that feature is only available in the linking feature is only available in a Gen template, because you have to generate a document and then send it. You can't send it and then generate it. But linking Gen templates with envelope templates is a cool thing that you can do. And then the documents you're using, so like you can do all kinds of custom stuff on the Word doc. Then you use Gen to generate the document. It has all your custom stuff in there. And then as soon as you generate it, if you've linked it, the send for e-signature button opens up, and the user can just send for e-signature using your envelope template. So you can marry the two. Your Gen templates and envelope templates, and you can do much more complicated and cool stuff in Gen on the document level than you can in envelope templates.
And you actually just answered Terry's question there. Terry, I've just sent you a private answer. I've given you my email address. Feel free to reach out. I will get you all the details you need for DocuSign Gen. Next one we have is again from anonymous attendee, and the question is, can you import templates from DocuSign?
Can you import templates? I am not positive. I think you can. I mean, once you link, what you do when you connect DocuSign to Salesforce is you put an integration user in Salesforce that's one of your DocuSign admins. I didn't go over that step because I didn't want to overburden the process with basic setup stuff. But when you connect to a DocuSign account, the templates and stuff that you built in your DocuSign account are available to the Salesforce experience that you have connected to. So
awesome, cool. That's all I have for questions so far, and we are at 55 minutes past the hour. If anyone else has any questions, let me know. But for now, I'm going to talk about our developer resources. The Developer Center is where you go if you need any software development kits or any code examples, that's where you can go to get all of those. We have very many helpful code examples to get you on your way. Stack Overflow, if you have any technical questions, please by all means go in there and post them. Myself and the team I'm on, we go in and we take a look at all those questions and answer them as soon as we possibly can. One thing I will say is please tag DocuSign API. It makes it a little bit easier for us to find it and answer it as quick as we can. Support Center, this is where all your how-to docs, your release notes are. Absolutely everything is there. So feel free to go to the Support Center. DocuSign at university, I am a huge advocate for learning. My grandpa always said, no education is ever lost, and it has stuck with me ever since. So DocuSign University, you can use any email address you have. You do not need to be a DocuSign account user or have a license. You can use a Gmail, Hotmail, AOL, we don't judge. Feel free to use that. As your learning tool. There's plenty of self-paced courses. We have DocuSign developer blogs. This is where you get the latest and greatest information. We have some YouTube videos and a YouTube channel. DocuSign for Developers is the YouTube channel name. This is where we walk you through setting up your DocuSign for Salesforce, for example, product releases. We have developer deep dives, Apex Toolkit how-to walkthroughs, all there on the developer DocuSign for Developer website. We have a couple of up and coming webinars. We have one more of the TDX 2021 Learning with DocuSign e-signature for Salesforce week. That is today at 12 p.m. Pacific time. So in an hour and a bit, is it? Keep me honest. I'm 1 o'clock in 1 hour. Oh, okay. So with that, tips to speed up your revenue cycle with DocuSign for Salesforce. We also have Salesforce meetups. We have 2 coming up. One is July 21st and August 25th. Both are 10 a.m. Pacific time. And again, completely free to join. And we do these monthly. So these are not one-offs. We do them every single month. We have API office hours. These are where we walk through our APIs, and we have a whole host of experts and tech engineers on these calls. So we have July, August, and September up there for you. Live from the trenches with Matt King. If you've never met Matt King, you need to. He is amazing. This is live coding. If you are a developer, code with Matt on. We have it on Twitch, but these are the dates: July 20th, August 10th, and September 21st. If you're a partner, again, we love our partners, and there is a partner portal, a sign-up page, and an email address there if you need any assistance. With that, I want to say a massive thank you to Greg. You are amazing as always, and your voices are way better than mine.
What do you mean? You don't? Are you intimating that the DocuSign voice assistant was fabricated for a presentation and it is not a real product?
Of course not. I would never do that. And also, I want to give a shout out to Mammy Hardigan, who was actually the photograph for our Kathy customer. Massive shout out to Mammy Hardigan there.
Yep.
She's amazing. Love her to bits. With that, I want to say a massive thank you to our audience for joining us. And if you have any questions, by all means, please do reach out to us. We're on Twitter, we are on LinkedIn, we're on Facebook, and we are on YouTube. So there's plenty of ways to get hold of us. And with that, thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody. This is fun for me anyway. I hope it was fun for you.